So this is my first time up here on a stage telling a story, but and I don't really have anything planned. I'm an improviser, but I did come up with a title because I have some basic ideas of what I want to do up here, and my title is A Broken Home. So as a number of you guys in this room know, my dad died this past Sunday. So I'm getting over that. I'm 16. My dad was 41. It was sudden. Nobody knows what happened yet. We don't have autopsy results. Nobody really knows. It was just he wasn't feeling well, and then they took him to the hospital. Well, he went upstairs to lay down. My stepmom found him unresponsive. They took him to the hospital, and they tried to revive him for an hour, and nothing. So I'm the estranged daughter. I haven't seen my dad in person in almost 2 years. The last time I saw him was I spent Christmas over at my dad and my stepmom's house, Christmas 2014. I have two little sisters, a stepsister and a half-sister. My stepsister is now 14, so she was 12 then, and my half-sister is now 8, so she was 6. And I said, even though I don't have a great relationship with my dad, I want to go over there for Christmas so I can see my little sister open presents on Christmas morning, because it is the greatest feeling inside when you see a 6-year-old enjoy the magic of Christmas. Santa brought us presents! Oh my God. But despite all of the good times that I've had, there have been some pretty rough times. My parents divorced when I was 1. I don't remember them being together at all. It's not even a memory anywhere in my head. I only remember my mom and my stepdad, and then my dad as a separate entity that I went to visit every once in a while. From a young age, I didn't like going over to my dad's house. When I was younger, it also included going over to my grandparents' house because he lived with his parents. They're not fun people. No, really. They're not fun people. And I don't mean that in the traditional sense. I don't mean they're boring, they're grandparents. No. I mean, like, you can't sit down to a meal with these people without some sort of problem. Like holidays? Oh no, you get 8 people gathered around a table, and believe me, somebody's yelling at somebody else. Not like, there's no peace. So from a very young age, even without realizing all of the turmoil and underlying problems in this household, I was like, I don't want to go over to Dad's house. No. But as I got older, he got his own apartment. I didn't mind that. I got up in the morning, ate a bowl of cereal, and watched cartoons. It was cool. Then he moved back in with his parents. He was in and out multiple times throughout my young childhood. But when I don't remember how old I was. I think I was probably 7 or so. I think I was about 7. He moved in with his girlfriend. They'd been dating for a while. They'd known each other since I was a wee child. But I didn't really have a concept of dating at like the age of 4. You got fairy tale endings, and then you have people who are friends, and there's no in between really. But I was friends with her daughter. I had no clue they were dating, so I just knew that her daughter, who was a little less than 2 years younger than me, was my best friend. She was my best friend. She was my playmate. I loved her to death. We acted like sisters before we were sisters. They moved in together, And we were really excited about that. Now, I only went over to my dad's house every 2 weeks and spent the weekend. But when I went over, we were so excited about it, spending time together. They got married when I was 8. My sister and I were the flower girls. And before the wedding, we said, we're gonna be sisters. And after the wedding, we said, we're sisters. And we were so excited. And I remember saying, I'm so excited that my best friend is now my sister. So that was a pretty great experience. It's really something special when your sister is your best friend and your best friend is your sister. Then we were sisters. Best friends don't fight when they're that age. Sisters do. And that's when the, no, I want to play with that toy started. And that's when the, Mackenzie, give me that toy started. And the, no, I don't want to. And the, we had bunk beds. We didn't have separate rooms. We didn't have separate beds. We had bunk beds. I was on the top bunk, being the older one. Of course, I'm on the top bunk. And our bunk beds, I don't know what to do with them. I'm just going to do this. Our bunk beds were not typical bunk beds like this. No, this bunk bed was like this, and the bottom bunk bed was like this. This is important because my little sister would stand up on her bed while I was trying to sleep, put her hands on the railing. She was tall enough for that. They weren't that tall. McCartney! McCartney! Wake up! Wake up! And then she would, because, you know, I like sleep, I would pretend that I wasn't awake. I think everyone's done that. To a sibling or partner or whatever. You just pretend you're asleep. So I would lay there, and then the poking would start. Poke, 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 and I would endure that for a little while, raging inside, but just pretending to be asleep. It's fine. And then she started throwing stuffed animals at me. And this happened every night and every morning for like 3 years. That's a long time. So I dealt with that, but I still loved her to death. And then there was, you know, that time that we were playing with our toys in the playroom, and she was being really mean, and she was like punching me, but like she's like 7, so like that doesn't really do much. No, she was probably like 6. We were really young. She was, you know, it doesn't do much. She's got tiny hands. But so do I. But you know, I'm not that much older than her. So she was just all over me, and she kept throwing toys at me, like littlest pet shop things. Those are hard when they get thrown at you. They're cute, but then they get thrown at you, and they are not cute anymore. They are vicious. So she's poking me with littlest pet shop toys, and she's like, and I was so naturally defending myself. I am not a violent person, and I especially wasn't at that age. I don't hit people. I don't punch people. It's not good. Don't hurt people. But I was like, okay, this girl has to leave me alone. So like, just out of nowhere, I shoved her. It was a pretty light shove, mind you. I think. But she fell into the dresser behind us. We were both sitting. But apparently the dresser was a lot closer than I anticipated. She hit her head, and I went, oh no, oh no. She's gonna start crying. Oh, that means Dad's gonna come up here. Okay, all right. Time for the parents. We just sat there for a second staring at each other, like, you know, while that pain is still processing. And I saw her face start to change into the I'm about to start crying face. And I was like, oh, please don't start crying. Please don't. Come on. It's fine. You're fine. I didn't shove you that hard. Come on. Come on. You're fine. You're fine. And then she and then around the corner, and then up the flight of stairs to the second floor. And then my dad's in the room, and so is my stepmom. They're like, what happened? And I was like, she was throwing little pet shop toys at me, and she was being really mean, and she was hitting me, and so I shoved her, and she fell into the dresser behind her and hit her head. Now, mind you, my little sister didn't get a lecture about throwing toys at her sister, or hitting, or punching. No. My dad said, you're the older one. You set an example. Don't shove your little sister. And I said, but she was mean. It didn't matter. Which, looking back, yeah, I probably shouldn't have shoved her. But, can you play like a 7-year-old? I mean, I was young. So, our toy room, our playroom, was ultimately converted into my half-sister's room. And we were like, cool, we're going to have you and I are sisters, but we're not blood related. We're not actually sisters, but now we're going to have a sister in common because she's half your sister and half my sister. Cool. We were really excited about that. So I just want to take a moment. You guys may or may not have caught on. My name's McCartney. My stepsister's name is Mackenzie. My stepmom and my dad decided to name our little sister McKinley. You think it's funny? It's not funny. It's not funny when your parents are trying to get your attention and they say McKinley, McCartney. Yeah, that one. Oh, our household got interesting as she got older. Then my stepmom left my dad in 2012. In the middle of the day, while he was at work. First of all, who does that? I don't know, if you're gonna leave somebody, don't leave them out of the blue while they're at work and then take all their stuff. And so that they come home and they're like, oh, well, this is new. I don't know, it just seems like a rude thing to do. It's already rude that you're leaving somebody that you're married to. I don't know, have the courtesy to not take his daughter's bunk bed. I didn't have a bed. I had to bring an air mattress over. I was 11. I was like, okay, this should not be going on. So I was like, all right, cool. They're getting a divorce. Okay, that was true. That was a lot of turmoil for me. I said, okay, this is new. I've never dealt with this before. This place never has felt like home, but I've always thought of her as my mom, my other mom, and my dad's my dad. And then I go home at the end of the weekend, and I'm at my real home where I feel comfortable, but I always felt kind of comfortable in this one. So, all right, I made peace with this. She came back. She came back. But she wasn't really back. It was like a half on, half off kind of thing. It was really weird for months on end, where whenever I came over, she was over too, and so therefore also were my sisters, and they were working through things, but then we were sleeping on a mattress on the floor of what our room was. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel like home. But they moved into a new house together. Again, apparently they're back together. I didn't really know. My dad skipped out on my birthday party early to go unpack. Thanks, Dad. Turning 12. It's cool. It's not an important birthday. It's okay. Don't leave. Please, come back. No? Okay. So they went to unpack. There were boxes around for 2 years, I swear. I don't think they ever fully unpacked. This house was a downgrade. This house was condemned. They rented a condemned house. Who does that? is drafty. It's a 2-story old farmhouse, I don't know, in the middle of North Canton, but not in the middle of North Canton because it's on a busy road in a commercial area. It's not even a residential area. It's just a house, and then there's a wine bar next door, and then on the other side of our house there's a hair salon. I'm not even kidding you guys right now. And then on the other side of the hair salon was a house, and then there were more businesses, so there was like 2 houses. But there were woods, and my sister and I played back there, and everything was okay, but I said I'm going to distance myself from my stepmom, because that's not cool, man. I like my sisters, I like my dad, kind of. But stepmom, you can't do that, you were my mom. So I distanced myself from her, and then it was a year after she left, and I told my dad, I started having panic attacks, and I had really bad anxiety, and I would just get these moments of my heart's racing, I can't breathe, I think about the fact that my stepmom might leave again. And I talked to my mom about it. My mom said, you should talk to your dad about it. And so I talked to my dad about it on the way to his house one time. We were sitting in the van, because we had a van. We had a van. Typical suburban family. Ugh. But, so, I'm sitting in this van. I'm not old enough to sit in the front seat yet, so he's sitting in the driver's seat, and then I'm sitting over here in the middle row. And I say, hey, Dad, I'm really worried that Jen's going to leave again. Quick side note, my mom's name is Jennifer and my stepmom's name is Jennifer. And my sister's names are Mackenzie and McKinley. Do you think my dad has a type? I don't know. Just seems like maybe. So I say, hey, I'm not feeling so good about this. I'm having panic attacks over the whole thing. And he said, it's been a year, can't you just let it go? Now, I was 13. I wasn't even 13 yet, I was 12. And that hit hard. I didn't like that. I didn't like the feeling that gave me. It was not a pleasant feeling. So I went over to his house with this aching feeling inside of me, thinking, I'm having panic attacks and my dad doesn't care. But ultimately, I made peace with what he said. And I said, you know what? He's right. It has been a year. Things are better now. That was summer 2013. In spring 2014, she left. Again. This time, I don't think it was while he was at work. So that was nice. Thanks. By then, I had contact with my sister outside of our parents. I was friends with her on Instagram. So I messaged her and I said, divorce or no divorce, we're still sisters. I thought that's the way things were going to be. I mean, when somebody leaves the second time, it's pretty definite. So I went over to his house 2 weeks after she left. And the dishes hadn't been done. And the house was a disaster. And my dad seemed like the loneliest man on earth. And I felt bad for him. But we went to get pizza, so that was nice. But while we were eating pizza, he said, I've realized that growing up, I've always just had you come in and be a part of the family whenever you come over. And I just kind of throw you in, and I never really made it a point to spend extra time with you. And I'm realizing now that that might not have been the best idea, but I thought it was at the time, and I'm really sorry. I'm going to be a better dad. And I was really excited, because the last time my dad and I had bonded, mind you, I'm 13 now. At this point in my story, I'm 13. The last time my dad and I had bonded was when I was about 4 years old and he did my hair and painted my nails. That was how we bonded. He was good at doing hair. I'll give him that. He had long hair, apparently, when he was younger. But 2 weeks later, when I went over again, there was a woman there. That woman was not my stepmom. He came to see my choir concert and then he picked me up from there, and he had this woman with him. And he said, hey, do you mind if we go out to dinner with her? And I said, okay, sure. Again, I'm 13, I'm young, but I'm not blind. I was like, okay, cool, it's been 4 weeks since my stepmom left, and he's got a new girlfriend. Really, Dad? Come on. You're better than this. No, you're not, but whatever. I tried. So we went out to dinner with her. She was nice. I liked her. She came over to the house. I went to bed. They were still awake. I was like, all right, this is not as fun as last weekend when my dad was a really sad and depressed man but told me he would be a better dad. I don't know. It felt good for me. Probably not for him, but... So I made peace with it again. 2 weeks later, he picks me up. We're on the way to back to his house. We're in the car. And only when we're in the car does he decide it's important to mention, hey, Jen's back, by the way. Okay. And I think, Dad, you had a girlfriend 2 weeks ago. This doesn't seem right to me. And so my relationship with my dad kind of crumbled after that because I said, this isn't stable. This isn't good for me. This is not good. We didn't have a relationship after that. That was the last weekend I spent over at my dad's house. I took him, it was Father's Day weekend. I took him to a baseball game. I hate baseball. My dad loves baseball. I said, you know what, I'm going to buy him and I baseball tickets. So we bought 2 baseball tickets to go see the Akron Arrows. Woo! JK, they're the Rubber Ducks now. I liked Arrows better. My story's almost finished. I know I've probably been up here way longer than my time limit. So we went to this baseball game, and I bought these tickets before I knew my stepmom was back. We had a good time. I enjoyed being there with my dad, and that was our last quality bonding experience. Because after that weekend, I said I don't want to come over for visitation anymore. Before I come over again, I want to get counseling. He fought me on that all summer. Even though he was already going to marital counseling, he decided he didn't want to go to counseling with his daughter. But in the fall, he finally agreed after me being like, no, seriously, go to counseling with me, please. He finally agreed to go to counseling with me, so we went to counseling, and things seemed like they were getting better for a little while, and then he told me I had only child syndrome, and I was like, what does that even mean? And he said it means I always want to be in the spotlight, and that I'm selfish. And I was like, no, Dad, that's you. Mind you, he said that in front of our counselor. I was like, you normally try to save face. This is not saving face. This does not look good on you. So then he had a busy season in work. He said he had to quit counseling for a while and that he would start up after the holidays again. And I said, okay, that's fine. Yeah, no, we never went back to counseling. I went over to his house, spent Christmas. We never went back to counseling, and I said, I'm not coming over. And I said to my counselor, our counselor, I said, I don't feel like we're getting anywhere. And I've tried for like 10 years at this point to have a relationship with my father, but I don't feel like it's getting anywhere. And he just keeps saying mean things, and I don't feel like it's worth it anymore. And I'm only part of this relationship, and I'm the kid in this relationship. Parents are supposed to take responsibility, and he's not. I don't really want to talk to him anymore. I don't want to go over for visitation anymore. And the counselor said, I'm not going to tell you that that's the wrong choice. That was a turning point for me, and I decided to make a home for myself within myself. I decided, things aren't stable, and that's okay. That's okay. So I started living my life. My stepdad left me and my mom back in February, so now I really don't have family. It's me and my mom now. I've always considered that I lived in a stable household, 2 semi-stable households, but this year I've learned that that's not necessarily true, and that the only stability I really have is within friends and within myself. So learning of my father's passing on Sunday, that was interesting because his family members and my stepmom had been trying to contact us. I had cut off all communication with them. I hadn't talked to any of them in a very long time. And They were trying to get a hold of us. We were ignoring their calls and everything. But then they just kept calling and texting. And my mom said, something's probably wrong. So then I was in choir. And my mom showed up and pulled me aside with my choir director because there was nobody else there that could help. And she said, your dad died. And believe me, I didn't think I was going to break down crying, but I did. I expected as the estranged daughter, it would hurt a lot less than it does. I'm at the point now where my parasympathetic nervous system is telling me that nothing's wrong, and it's like shutting down my body 24/7. I'm always tired. It's only been a few days, but I've been sleeping and sleeping and sleeping, and I just am tired. I have been up, I don't know, I got up at 10 today. I went to bed at midnight, slept for 10 hours. I was up for 2 hours and said, I'm tired. I took a nap. I'm tired now. I'm tired. And finding a home within yourself is really difficult, and it takes a lot of effort. It's tiring. But it's okay. My sister and I are talking again. I'm going to go out to dinner with my stepmom and my stepsister and my half-sister tomorrow night after not having seen them in nearly 2 years. So that'll be interesting. And I feel like it'll be a little piece of a broken home, but a little piece of home nevertheless.